everyone. Multiplying with integers is a really helpful tool to master before you get to high school. You'll be using the skill extensively. Integers can also be called directed numbers, and this just means that there'll be a mixture of positive and negative numbers that we'll be working with. If you know your tables well, the skills covered in this lesson will be really simple. I'll start the lesson by explaining what an integer is. Let's take a look. There are two aspects that we need to remember about integers. Firstly, integers are whole numbers, they're not fractions. So if you see a fraction, that's not an integer. Then on the second part, remember that integers include both positive as well as negative whole numbers. So when we write integers, if we look at the positive numbers first, we don't have to have a positive sign in front of a positive number. If you think of all the numbers that we've been using up until now, 5, 15, whatever number you write, if it doesn't have a sign in front of it, you know that that's a positive number. And we just read the number normally, like 5 or 15. However, for negative numbers, to show that it's negative, it has to have a negative symbol in front of it. For example, negative 10. And when we read that number, we'll say negative 10, or we can say minus 10. Okay, now that you know what an integer is, let's have a look at how we multiply integers together. As you can see, these sums look like normal table sums, except there's a mixture of positive and negative numbers. Now, there are two steps to multiplying integers. Let's do these examples below, and I'll explain the two steps as we go. So for this first one, 8 times 2. Step 1 is that we multiply the two numbers together as normal. So 8 times 2 is 16. Step 2, we have to work out if the answer is going to be positive or negative. Now, the rule for this is easy. If we look up top here, if we've got two of the same sign, so if both our numbers are positive or both our numbers are negative, then we always have a positive answer. However, if we have one of each sign, so we have a positive and a negative, or a negative and a positive, it doesn't matter which way the signs come. If we've got one of each, the answer is going to be a negative. So let's go back to 8 times 2. Both of these numbers were positive, so our answer is going to be positive. Let's look at this next one. Minus 4 times minus 3. First, step 1, we multiply as normal. So 4 times 3 is 12. Now let's look. We've got a negative and a negative. Remember, any two of the same. If I've got two positives or two negatives, my answer is always positive. You can see I've got two negatives here. So my answer has to be a positive. If we look at the next one, 6 times minus 9. First, we multiply 6 times 9, so that gives us 54. But this time, can you see that I've got one positive and one negative? I've got one of each. That means that my answer is going to be a negative. If I've got one of each, the answer has to be a negative. So we put a negative in front of our answer. So for 6 times negative 9, our answer is negative 54. And then this last one, 7 times negative 5. First, we multiply 7 times 5, that's 35. And now I look at the sign. I've got a positive and a negative. Can you see I've got one of each? So my answer is going to be a negative. Okay, now it's time for you to try a few of these yourself. As you can see, there's 5 sums here with a mixture of positive and negative numbers. Remember the rule. Two of the same, i.e. you've got two positives or two negatives, your answers are positive. If you've got one of each, your answers are negative. What you're going to do now, you're going to pause the video while you work out your answers, and then you're going to come back to the lesson to check your work. Let's check your answers. At first glance, these sums look a whole lot more complicated than they actually are. Keep doing the practice exercises in your booklet so that the rules become embedded in your brain. Once you feel confident with the skill, move on to the lesson where we divide with integers. The skills are closely linked. I'll see you there. This lesson comes from the Tables Training That Packs a Punch series. The full series with practice exercises and bonuses is available from aligerous.online. Click the link in the description below.